Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Alan's channel. Welcome to the Doorman. I hope you're all doing very well. This is the pre-season interview for EBL Season 6 with coach of the Texas Tyranitar, the Doorman. So I suppose the very first question should be, how are you doing today, Doorman?
I am doing fairly good, my friend, fairly good. I got some much needed sleep, and that's it, man. I've just woken up.
Oh, that's pretty good. Well, even though this is your channel and a lot of people will be familiar with you, if there are people watching from other coaches that aren't familiar with you, why don't you take this opportunity just to explain who you are and what you do?
That is no problem. I am the Doorman. I do Nuzlocke videos, I do battle videos, and I do like ROM hack and fan game videos and stuff like that. Thinking about some stuff with the channel, but other than that, like I said, I do like themed Nuzlocks. I've done an Avatar lock, I've done an ABC lock. I do ROM hack Fekkaman games like Pokemon Insurgents, Pokemon Infinity. I'm just doing one now, about to finish Serious Minus Nuzlocke, and then also I do like themed battle videos when I'm not doing EBL. I know I just got done doing an all doggo team. I did a Hisui team. I've even done a snow team. I remember now, just like a snow team and stuff like that. So that is something I do too.
Oh, well, there you go then. If you're a fan of all of those, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I think that's the gist of it. So then, let's get straight into what our predecessors would call the meat and potatoes of the interview. Let's get straight in. Let's dive in.
The meat,
so
the
what
potatoes,
is
the cheese,
exactly
the peas, the carrots.
Exactly. So what is going through your head as we get closer to the start of EBL Season 6?
There's a lot more to this stuff that goes on in the background. Because if people do not know, I don't know how comfortable you are with me saying this or not, but I do know that Humberto and Josh unfortunately did leave EBL. They were council members. They just had life stuff that just kind of popped up, and they were kind of like, we're just kind of done. We're going to pass the torch over to me and then also to Jakey. And just as we're going through the start of the season, I'm just like, there's a lot more that goes in the background that I probably thought of.
Yeah, there is a lot more, I think, than anyone would realize.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm feeling pretty decent. It's one of those. I've already got all my notes done and everything. That's all I got right now. I'll probably do more prep whenever time comes, but...
No, that's fair enough. Are you feeling more or less confident going into this season compared to last season? I think last season was probably one of your stronger seasons, so...
Yeah, it was one of my stronger seasons. I did my team a little bit differently. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't say more or less confident, maybe like a smidge more, I would say, because as I was going through and picking stuff like that, I was kind of thinking from last season, alright, I had a big glaring weakness last season, I didn't want that happening again this season, and I think I covered that pretty decently.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's pretty good then. So you filled in some holes that you think you found from last season?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay then. That's always a good thing to do. So I know you hinted on it already, saying that you've got notes written down and everything, but how are your preparations going so far overall? Are they doing pretty good?
They're doing pretty good. Like I said, I already went through all the weeks where I bet all the opponents. I took all the Pokemon. I got notes on them. And I even thought about like, the teams I may want to do. Now, I know week 1, week 2 are probably going to stay the same no matter what. But like later on weeks, I'll know I might change depending on how people battle and stuff like that. But I've got notes down, and as it goes down more, I'll start doing more calcs for like moves and all that other fun stuff. But I got all the preparation started. I got the groundwork. I just need to continue with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got the groundwork. Now you need to take it week by week and see what you need to do individually against opponents. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense. How do you think your draft actually went then? Did you get everything you wanted? Did you get some sniped in there?
I'm mad at Max.
You're mad at Max?
I'm mad at Max. Like, okay, Max, I love you. I'm not actually mad at you, but I'm mad at you. You took my fairies. I wanted Confe or Whimsicott. And I know me and him were recording and stuff like that, and he was talking about he wanted Whimsicott. And I went, alright, I want my main legendary first, so I was like, alright, I ain't gonna get Whimsicott probably, but I want the other one. I wanted both originally, but if you have 2 fairy types, one of them being fairy and grass, I'm like, that's a glaring poison type weakness with support mons. I don't want that. So I'm like, I'll take the other one. And he took the other one, and I'm like, why? I was like, eh. But other than that, everything went pretty well. It's one of those I had to change up this draft a little bit because I'm doing a theme team. I picked one for each generation. It's one of those, since I knew Whimsicott was going to be taken, I'm like, alright, fine, I'll do Conflay for Gen 7. And then when that got taken too, I'm like, well, Gen 5 and Gen 7 both have spots now I need to fill. So, alright, that's going to have to figure that out.
So, yeah, speaking of your team there, I'll quickly go through your team. And you have got managed to draft Eternatus, Galarian Zapdos, Quagsire, Rotom Heat, Zoroark, Toxapex, Sharpedo, Clefable, and Diggersby. So, with them in mind, how are you feeling about your team overall?
Honestly, I think 1 or 2 Pokemon I might have honestly changed. But it's also one of those, I don't know if I would have changed it, would have made some of the weaknesses and stuff like that been more apparent and stuff like that. I have a lot more, there are some Pokemon that's a lot more like defensively than I'm more used to. But that just means I'm going to have to learn how to play a little bit more defensively and at the same time make the offensive Pokemon I have very offensive, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does make sense. Yeah. So do you think you've got a good balance of the offense and defense in there then?
To a degree, yeah, because it's one of those, like, I do have Quagsire and Toxapex, but I don't always have to bring both, so then it's one of those, which one do I bring? Am I going to bring stuff with poison, or am I going to bring stuff with, like, ground type of stuff like that? And then it's, like, Clefairy, and then Clefable, and then I think another support bond. Well, there's Clefable, too. There's also, like, Rotom Heat. There's Zoroark. With the Illusion, I'm always, if I bring that to the team, it's always going to throw people off because they don't know exactly what they're going to be hitting. And there's a couple little hidden Pokemon in there, stuff like that. I'm just kind of looking through and I'm like,
Okay. Well, with that in mind, are there any Pokemon on your team that you feel could get an MVP, whether it be weekly MVP or even the season MVP? Are there any on there you think could get that acclaim?
Well, we saw how good Yveltal was that one week whenever he was able to get max airstream and stuff like that. So I feel like if I had to probably like think I could guarantee get an MVP, or not guarantee, but the most likely success I can get with an MVP would be Galarian Zapdos.
Oh, okay then.
Because it's a flying and fighting type. With those 2 Dynamax moves, you boost your attack, you boost your speed, and that's all he's about. So it's like I could take 2 turns of Dynamax to set up, and then I also get free damage with that. So then it's one of those. I should be, you know, decently good with that, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
Because we've learned how successful flying types Pokemon with Dynamax moves are. Because you get a boost of speed, you just run rampant to a degree if you're that strong, like with Yveltal, basically.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And with that in mind, flipping it round to the other side, are there any Pokemon on your team you feel are underrated and people may be sleeping on, but could come out and do you some good damage?
Sharpedo and Diggersby, honestly.
Okay.
Because I know people most likely know about Diggersby and stuff like that, but there's a few moves he can get with Dynamax that can make it to where he could be a potential sweeper, and then Sharpedo is one of those, like, that's a weird one. I'm like, there's a reason I picked him. There is a reason. He has a really good ability, which probably people figure out after this interview, and they'll probably prep for it, but doesn't matter if you prep for it or not. Because, man, there's only so much you can prep for, and it's one of those, I could be doing that, I could be doing something else, you don't know.
Exactly, yeah.
But I feel like those 2, Sharpedo and Diggersby a little bit.
Okay, then. Diggersby was a Pokemon on my list from last season, I think. So, yeah, I'd definitely say that it can be utilised well if you want to.
Definitely, yeah.
Indeed. So, what were your thoughts after seeing the actual schedule you've got lined up? I've got the schedule here, so let me just let people know. You have got, week 1, you've got New York Metas, and then week 2, Florida Rowlets, and week 3, Carolina Garchomps, week 4, myself, Essex Espeons, and then rounding it off with you versus Max, week 5, the Detroit Luxray. So how do you think, what are you thinking of your schedule now that you've seen that?
I remember the first schedule we had where it was all new people in a rematch against Max's, and I was like, alright, cool, this can be kind of cool. All new battles, just love that, it's going to be fun. Then when the schedule got changed because of unforeseen circumstances, I was like, collab partner, rematch, new. I'm like, okay, yeah. I faced everybody I've ever fought with, and I'm like, that's gonna be fun, honestly, because it's not necessarily like rematch style, but it's one of those. It's gonna be like old friends and rivals fighting each other to see who's gonna be able to win and stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, for people that didn't know, we had a couple of coaches drop out, so we had to rechange the schedule after a while. which is why now I think it's set up so that everyone plays everyone in their conference plus one from the other conference. That's how it's set up at the moment. There'll be, yeah.
Is it that way, or is it like the -1? Because I think
it should be that everyone plays their own conference and then one from the other.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. 1, 2,
Yeah, it should
3,
be.
4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right there. My bad.
No, that's all right.
I was like, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, you're right. I never looked at that. So, yeah, you're right about that.
No, that's fair enough. Which also means then you're going to get guaranteed rematches in playoffs, so that's pretty good.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So, upon seeing that schedule, how difficult would you rate it out of 10?
The old schedule, I was going to rate about 7 to 8 because it's newer people and stuff like that. This one, I'm going to rate it to about 8 to 9. Okay. And that's just because it's one of those, like, whenever you're facing off against someone new, you could probably pull something out of your butt to, like, maybe confuse the opponent and stuff like that. But whenever you're facing, like, people you've worked together, people you've talked with, have conversations and form bonds and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to pull random stuff out of nowhere, because then it's like, aha, I knew you were going to think of that, so I thought of that and did this.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, like, do I do with the regular stuff that I've done before, or do I do something new, completely different that they may not think about but probably did? So I would say it's a little bit difficult. I would say definitely an 8 to a 9, just because with all these people I've formed bonds with, it's one of those, it's going to be harder for me to probably try to catch y'all off guard. And then with, of course, Newt still being new, I don't know him too much, so there is still the thing with that. Because I know last season his team wasn't the best, but I still feel like this team, he drafted a really good season. He drafted a really good team. So there's also new person with new team, and I don't know how he does battles and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, this season there's no new coaches. Everyone's either in their second season or later. For example, Max has been there every season. So yeah, there are no rookies this season, I think is a good way of putting it. So everyone's got some sort of experience. Even the people that were rookies last season, they've learned from either their mistakes or their fortunes, and they know how to build on them or, you know, fix them. So I think everyone this season is going to be difficult to face. Yeah. So I think every schedule is going to... I think this is probably the most difficult season of EBL we've got ahead of us. So
for a while, yeah, because it used to be like we would have like some newbies and stuff like that every now and then. Now we have like no newbies.
No newbies. Everyone's got some sort of experience. There's only 10 coaches. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
So how do you think your record will go for this season? When it comes to the end of week 5, what do you think your record might be?
On like the very plus side, a 5-0. But I know that's not going to happen. I would probably say either like maybe a 3-2 to 2-3. I don't think I'm going to lose every single battle, but I don't think I'm going to be able to win every single battle as well. There might be some battles that's either going to be really close, or like when I did last season with Humberto, just randomly did something and went, oh, hey, that worked really well for me. Cool.
Yeah.
So realistically, like a 3-2 or a 2-3. More preferably 3-2, and even then higher than that, but I would say probably at least that.
Nope, that's fair enough. Yeah, because even though we had 3 coaches last season that went 5-0, it's very difficult to do that. Just at all. So I think last season was a bit of an anomaly for that.
Yeah, because it was like that every other week. It's like either it was a grudge match to the end or just complete sweep. And especially that one week. That 1 week, it was just full of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was like week 2. I think it was week 2 and the week 5 where it was pretty much is either sweeps or grudge matches. There's no in between.
No, exactly. I know you said earlier as well, you're basically playing a lot of collab partners and, you know, previous people that you've collaborated on videos. However, is there anybody on your schedule that you're not facing that you would like to actually face?
I was looking at that because I'm looking at the other conference and stuff like that.
It's a tough question because I think there'll only be 4 people that you're not battling.
Yeah, there's only 4 people. Probably... You know what? I want to say Nate.
Okay then. Have you not battled Nate before?
No, I battled Nate before. We did the playing match. I think like for season 3. No, season 4.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
I remember.
But that was the last time we fought, and I know he's grown since then as a competitor and stuff like that. And so like I would like to try to battle him again and see what we could do. That and probably have like a better actual match because that match was really rushed.
Oh, okay. Right.
And so he wasn't able to like make the best team versus me, where I was able to squeeze in something. So I would like to be able to have like a proper match, if that makes sense.
Yes,
That'd be
no,
really
that
cool,
does make
actually.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a tough team this season as well, so there could be some upset there.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, going on to the next question, actually, which teams look most dangerous, not including your own?
Okay, I'm gonna come over here and look at the teams here for a second.
Yeah, feel free to bring up those teams.
Yeah.
And while you're there as well, the next question will be, are there any underrated teams? So bear that in mind when you're spooling through the teams. Yeah, while you look, I'll fill. But like I said earlier, there's only 10 teams, so there's only 90 Pokemon used, which is still a big number.
It's still
However,
a big number,
yeah. However, it does mean that the teams are, in my opinion, a lot better than last season, because last season we had 16 teams.
No,
and now we've got 10. Yeah, I think we did have 16 last season.
We did have 16 last season? Okay, I thought it was the other season before that we had 16.
No, it was last season, I think.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so then we've gone from 16 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 6 times 9. That's 54 less Pokemon on the roster.
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone's teams this season, mixing with the fact that there's no rookies and all the teams are actually pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Like I say, on that note, are there any teams that you think look most dangerous or any underrated teams? We'll roll it over.
Yeah, on the Mega Conference, New York Metangs is a very scary team because they got the Zacian, they got the Grimmsnarl, they've got like their Gastrodon, Togekiss, they got Dialga. They've got a lot of and they got Vantula, a lot of speed control, a lot of attacking mons and stuff like that. I would say their team is probably the scariest, a little bit to a degree on that one. And then as far as
I think any team with a Zacian on it is going to be the scary one.
Yeah, not gonna lie, yeah. Yeah. And then as far as underrated, I feel like it's gonna be Newt in the Mega Conference. I feel like it's gonna be Newt.
Okay, then.
It's one of those. There's a couple Pokemon where it's kind of. I don't know if I don't think he was doing the same thing as me, but there's a couple Pokemon people kind of looking at as like, all right, that's a little different, and I feel like he's gonna be able to do something with those Pokemon.
Okay then. Fair enough. Any specific Pokemon or just generally the whole team?
Let's see. I know he got the Shuckle, which is going to be really good for him.
Yes.
The Armaldo and the Lantern a little bit could be something. So he could pull something with that. Because I think I've looked at them before and I had them on my list, but I wasn't 100% sure. And then as far as the Dynamax Conference, Sly Guy is going to have the really most horrible team here, really most terrifying here to a degree, because Zygarde, Blaziken, Rillaboom, already 3 pretty decent mons. Magearna, Weavile, Aegislash, he's got a lot, especially between the Blaziken and the Rillaboom, he's got a lot of speed control, and the Weavile too. He's got a lot of speed control.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be tough to break that down.
Yes, and then again, just because I know Nate, and he's been learning and stuff like that, I want to say Nate for this one. Because he's got some pretty decent Pokemon. It's not necessarily underrated, but I feel like he's going to be able to pull off a lot with this team that he's got here.
Yeah. He snatched up that Mewtwo, and I think that's going to be very crucial.
Yeah, that's going to be, I don't think it's going to be his main one, but he grabbed, your Double, he grabbed the Mewtwo, he grabbed Crobat, he grabbed Klefki, too. He's got some decent support and some decent attackers throughout his team.
Exactly, yeah. If he can utilize them well, he's going to have a good season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with all that in mind, we're wrapping it up right at the end with the final question. Why will you be the champion of Season 6?
I've said it before every season, and I'm going to say it again every single season. If I do end up becoming the champion, it will be RNG. I got lucky. Because there's only so much skill can bring you. It's one of those, you can't predict everything. You can't predict what the numbers of battle effects and stuff like that. There is always luck when it comes to competitions.
Yeah.
And if I most likely become the champion, I just got really lucky this season. I was able to pull off what I wanted to pull off, or I was able to do what I needed to do.
Yeah, you always need a bit of luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, and well, thank you for your time, Mr. Doorman. while we are here, do you have any promo or plugs that you want to give about your channel? Any content that's coming up that you want people to know about?
Well, I do know that me and Mike's Cage Match series just ended, so you can definitely go check out the playlist, and you can watch everything. I even have the final fight. If you want to watch that and figure out who won the series, you can do that as well. I do know that my Sears Minus Nuzlocke finale will be coming up in the next few days. With that, I'll be able to start a new Pokemon series and stuff like that. So that's all the really promos and plugs I got. I got 2 series about ending. You can watch them through, and then by the time we catch up, I should be decent to the other series. You can catch up with that as well.
Perfect. Well, if anybody wants to go and see some of that, do click the subscribe button down below. But for now, I think that is it from me. Any last words from yourself, or are you all good?
I'm all Gucci.
Fair enough. In that case, goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.